Hello and welcome to Swag Shack tutorial number 1. We're going to get into how to change this loop on a looping coaster, it's a medium-sized loop, into a Schwarzkopf loop. And what does that mean? Well, it means we're going to change that vertical loop to something that looks like the smaller loop, where you've got a large vertical support beam coming straight off the loop. We're going to try to mimic this as close as possible. Here's some images of what a Schwarzkopf loop looks like in real life. And you can see it's not only going to have that vertical beam going down, it's also going to have a thicker spine for the area that's on the looping coaster section. And I'm sure that's for structural integrity. I'm using the color scheme of Shockwave, which is a coaster in Six Flags over Texas. I'll show you briefly the Schwarzkopf layout in my Over Texas remake, and then I'm going to show you a couple of examples of this large loop in the context of what we're going to be trying to do. Let's go check out the Six Flags Over Texas layout. Okay, so as you can see in this remake of the coaster that Mekit designed back in the day, he used that Intamin Giga coaster track and then the traditional loops with the smaller loops. But if you take a look at real-life images of these coasters with the loops, they're actually a lot larger in comparison to the coaster track. The trains are actually running larger and longer trains as well. So I think the smaller trains actually make this look okay, and then I think, back in the day we did a good job trying to design the supports and stuff. But this right here is showing off what a medium loop can look like with a couple of tricks involved. So this is a coaster that was made and designed by 30, and honestly this method of doing a medium loop in the Schwarzkopf fashion is designed and made by 30. So 30 did a good job figuring this out, using some pieces here and there. So I just used this method in the Swag Shack entry for Beautiful Monday's looping coaster. So I thought it'd be good to show off, hey, this is what it looks like. And actually a good thing to show off is what it previously looked like when people have built coasters in the past. They've just kind of used the loop and then done whatever they could to support it to make it look somewhat similar. So this is what we've been dealing with. And that's why I think it's a really awesome opportunity to take a look at modernizing these coasters and giving you a simple tutorial on how to do it. The first step to understanding how we're going to do this is by doing it on a sample loop, step by step. So the first thing I want to do is I want to open up and use the vertical drop coaster track because it's using the B&M track that has the thicker spine. And it should also have the correct loop variance, which is a medium loop. So we're going to go ahead and do this backwards and underneath the existing loop. Let's make sure we're doing it the right piece. So we're just going to go backwards, straight through, and straight underneath. So with that in mind, we're going to color that loop the same color as the other pieces. Actually, we're going to leave it a different color right now so that we can corrupt the tiles we do not want to see. So we're going to get rid of the existing looping coaster track by just clicking on it with the tile inspector and corrupting it. So if you want to see what the corrupt tile is, you go up into the tile inspector and you click this icon right up here. We're going to take a look at this from multiple angles to get rid of the track. So we're going to keep doing that. I have a hotkey for this, so I'll select the piece and then I will click the correct piece on my keyboard and it will corrupt the tile. So it's going to look quite odd at first because the tracks do not line up, but what we'll do is we'll change the color and we will change the support color, and it looks a little bit cleaner. So if I was to move this up a tile, it would cover up the other track, but what I might be able to do is apply changes to entire track piece, lift, well, that is the entire track piece right there. Lift that piece, lift that loop, lift that piece, and lift that piece. And now we're not on a regular buildable tile, but to make it so that the track doesn't have such an odd transition, we're going to move the LIM track, or the looping coaster track, under the other track so that it goes up into the larger coaster piece. So that's your first step. We're just making a thicker spine coaster. So there's the loop. This is a note. When you are building a loop that is going from left to right, you are actually using the supports from a right to left loop. So I'm going to delete the other one. You're not doing the exact similar loop. You're going to delete this. And for the confusion, because guess what? I confused myself while building it. Now you will use the red tile from this loop to create the support on the larger loop. So you copy that tile, you placed it onto this red tile, and we're going to see if we can get this put in the right spot. So the way you can confirm that this piece is on the right height is you can click on the top of the loop, and you will be 12 below the top of the loop. So this is at a 42 height, and now that's at a 30 height. So it might look a little odd, but we look at it from every angle. So there's one angle, that looks fine. The other angle looks okay. And that angle looks, basically that's the best angle. So you're going to get a few angles that look good, a few angles that don't. So I'm going to do the same thing right here. I'm going to copy this piece. I'm going to paste it on this red piece. And I'm going to lift it up to the height of 30. Look at that, 30 and 30, which is 12 below 42. So you're going to see there's a gap right there. And we are going to figure out how to fill that gap. But for now, that is what we want. We want that piece in that spot. And it's not beautiful from all angles, but it's pretty darn close. So the next step is to remove the track pieces with their own supports under the loop area of the coaster. So the best way to do that is to simply put it below the surface. If you are above water when you're doing this loop, you will need to use an invisible track piece or an invisible support piece. So I like to go to the scenery pieces. I like to collect and click on support structure, and I turn it invisible. And what I'll do is I'll lift it up and place it right over the track, and you'll see there's a little bit of support left. So what you would do in this situation where you can see a little bit more of the support is you're going to lift that support structure one more piece high. So low, you see the blue, one more high, and it's now gone. So that's the best way to get rid of the support, and I'm just going to do this really quickly on here by moving the surface up to get rid of that support. So it's okay to have a support on the track outside of the loop, but in between these two supports, there should be no other supports on the bottom side. So now, how are we going to fill this gap? It's on the corner of a tile, and using a scenery piece post is actually not going to work very well. So what we do use is we use this support on a wide turn. So I'll just do this again. I'll copy and paste this. When you build a wide turn, you get a post support that is on the corner or the edge of the tile. So I'm going to delete this one, and we're going to get rid of that tile. So how can we use this? Well, when you copy this piece specifically and you place it, it gives you a support that ends up on the tile. Now, that's not very useful for us because it's currently blue and it's got a green track piece, but with the use of changing colors and using the invisible colors, you can now make the track invisible and the support the color you need, which is green in this situation. So now we have a beautiful support piece, which is just a vertical pillar in the color we want. So we're going to copy this piece and copy it and place it on the same exact surface as the current option. Now in this circumstance, we're going to take this piece and make it 3 units above the loop piece. So this piece right here is at 30, so we're going to move this under piece to 33. So 3 units above. Now you're looking at this and going, I don't think that looks like what we're going to want. So the best way to make both supports go all the way down to the ground is to take your surface tile and copy it and paste it. So now you have 2 surface tiles and 2 track tiles. What you do is you move a surface tile under each track tile. So that's how you make that piece go straight to the ground. Now, we're looking at it from different perspectives, and I can still see that support kind of cutting through, and there's a footer on the ground, which is kind of a default for all the pieces. We do not want that footer piece. So what we're going to do to remove that footer is use that support structure again, and we'll just have this as red, and we're going to lift it up and make sure the rest of the support is no longer visible. So we're going to click on this, we're going to lift it, lift it, lift it, lift it. And we're going to lift it one more time. And now, when we rotate around, we do not see that post other than in the spot that was previously blank. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this invisible. And now you have a finished vertical piece. So now we want to go back to the other angle and see where this piece is currently. And copy and paste that same technique and make sure it is now 3 above. And we're going to duplicate the surface. And we're going to put that surface right there. Now I haven't tested this. Let's test this on the fly. Maybe put this one above it. Put that right there. And we're going to move this all the way up so it's no longer visible, which it's on the wrong surface tile, so we want this to be blocking the higher support. And I think that gives us what we want in a better situation. So yeah, if you look at it from this way, we don't see that tile kind of sticking through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this surface below the other surface all the way, and I think that does improve it. When we look at it from all of our different angles, this angle is almost perfect. This angle has a little bit of a bump, but we'll deal with that. This angle is virtually perfect, and this one has a little bit of a bump. What I will say is when you decorate the area around the coaster and you have much more going on in the park, you're not going to notice that bump as much. So this is how you design that vertical loop. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do everything I just did over here, but I'm going to go do it over here on the coaster track that has a train running through it so we can get it visibly to show exactly what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and do a time lapse. You can watch me do it one more time, and then at the end of the video we'll review, and hopefully you have learned a cool trick to add to your future builds. A mistake I made while building this was assuming that the 42 loop was the correct height for the loop I was building. That is the LIM track, or the looping coaster track underneath it. So notice the medium loop support is not at the right spot. So I'm going to click Apply to All Track Pieces and raise it one more. Raise the other piece one more, and then these pieces underneath also one more. So right down here, I put that test coaster underneath, and I'm still going to put that under the surface because it's within those 2 pieces of supports. So now that we've done that, the loop looks good, and let's see how it looks with the coaster going through it. Awesome. Looks great. Love it from this perspective. Looks really great. And yeah, if you like this tutorial on how to build the vertical loop, please absolutely leave your comments in the section below. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and shout out to 30. He's the one who developed this technique, and I'll be using it anytime I'm trying to do a medium loop using the Schwarzkopf coaster track. So thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.